You've probably spent hundreds of dollars on sleep solutions, pills, supplements, meditation apps, blackout curtains, expensive mattresses. But here's what most people are missing. The most powerful sleep technology isn't from a lab. It's not in a capsule, and it's not new. It's been blooming in gardens, fields, and wild spaces for thousands of years. In traditional medicine across Asia, the Mediterranean, and Europe, entire gardens were built specifically around the night cycle, not for decoration, for healing. Cultures that produced some of the longest living populations in history didn't just stumble onto this. They observed something, they repeated it, and it worked. The modern world has forgotten this almost entirely. We've turned sleep into a problem to be solved with technology and chemicals. But what if the solution was always growing outside, hidden in plain sight? Today, we're breaking down 15 plants that bloom or activate specifically at night, and each one contains compounds that modern sleep science is only now beginning to understand. By the time we get to number 3, you'll realize why ancient gardeners treated nighttime growing differently than daylight growing. And by the end, you'll see why this knowledge disappeared and why it needs to come back. This isn't about magic. This is about observation, about biology, about what happens when you work with your body's timing instead of against it, and let plants do what they've been designed to do. Why night-blooming plants matter for sleep. Most people think of gardens as places that stop working at sunset. The flowers close, the activity slows, and we move indoors, away from nature's rhythm entirely. But traditional gardeners understood something different. The night cycle produces different compounds in plants, different concentrations, different therapeutic actions. A plant that produces mild effects during the day can become profoundly supportive during evening hours when your nervous system needs it most. This isn't folklore, it's biochemistry. When a plant blooms at night, it's producing aromatic compounds, volatile oils, and active alkaloids specifically timed to the cooler temperatures and lower light of evening. These compounds were never meant to be processed, bottled, and separated. They were meant to be experienced whole in their environment, in the evening's air, in a ritual of tending and harvesting that changes everything about how they work. The night bloomer most people overlook, evening primrose. Evening primrose doesn't get the attention it deserves, mostly because its bright yellow flowers seem ordinary. But when you understand what's happening inside, and when it becomes something entirely different. Evening primrose doesn't just bloom at night, it blooms. Specifically, at dusk, opening its flowers in a matter of minutes as the sun crosses the horizon. This isn't random timing. This is a plant synchronized to the exact moment your circadian rhythm begins its evening shift. Traditional herbalists didn't just use evening primrose oil for inflammation. They harvested the flowers and seeds at sunset because they understood that the plant's peak potency aligned with the body's peak receptivity to evening herbs. What makes this remarkable is the oil's composition. Evening primrose contains gamma-linolenic acid, GLA, which research has shown supports as the body's production of anti-inflammatory compounds. But here's what modern science is catching up on. This oil also seems to influence hormones that regulate sleep-wake cycles. Studies have indicated that people with certain sleep disturbances showed improvements in sleep quality when supplementing with evening primrose oil, particularly because it may help regulate the body's stress hormone response during the transition from day to night. The traditional use was never just about inflammation. It was about supporting the body's natural evening transition. That critical 30-minute window, when your nervous system is supposed to shift from sympathetic activation to parasympathetic rest. How to use it: to harvest the flowers at dusk, dry them, and steep them as a tea 1 to 2 hours before sleep, or use a quality cold-pressed evening primrose oil supplement. The ritual of harvest, the act of being present at that exact moment of opening, was itself part of the medicine. Evening primrose doesn't work like a sedative, it works like a harmonizer, the plant that rewires nighttime anxiety. Passion flower. A passion flower is extraordinary because it does something most sleep herbs don't. It actually addresses the reason people can't sleep. The cycling thoughts, the racing mind, the anxiety that kills sleep before it even starts. Many night-blooming plants were traditionally used in South American and Caribbean healing traditions, specifically for their nervous system effects. Passion flower was different. It wasn't just calming. It was used for what traditional practitioners called mind agitation, the mental restlessness that keeps you awake even when your body is exhausted. Modern phytochemistry has identified compounds in passion flower called flavonoids and alkaloids that appear to interact with GABA receptors in the brain, the same receptors that anti-anxiety medications target, but in a much gentler, more balanced way. Research suggests that passion flower may help reduce the time it takes to fall asleep and may improve sleep quality by addressing the underlying anxiety that prevents sleep onset in the first place. The deeper reason this works relates to how anxiety actually interrupts sleep. Your brain cycles through patterns every 90 minutes or so, moving between light and deep sleep. But if your nervous system is primed for threat, if cortisol and adrenaline are still elevated, these cycles get disrupted. Passion flower seems to help reset that threat detection, allowing your brain to complete its natural sleep architecture. How to use it. Passion flower was traditionally brewed as a strong decoction 1-3 hours before bed. Modern preparations are available, but the whole flower or whole herb form tends to be more effective than isolated extracts. What's remarkable is that passion flower doesn't make you drowsy. It makes you able to sleep by removing the obstacle, the flower that blooms with your circadian rhythm. Chamomile. Here's something that changes how you think about chamomile. It's not just a calming herb, it's a timing herb. Chamomile blooms in the late afternoon and early evening, and traditional European herbalists, particularly German herbalists who made chamomile foundational to their entire healing system, didn't use it randomly throughout the day. They harvested it specifically in the 2-3 hours before sunset, because they understood that the plant's chemical profile shifted with the light cycle. You've probably had chamomile tea. It's everywhere. But most commercial chamomile is harvested, dried, and processed without any attention to when it was harvested or how that affects potency. That's the difference between a plant that works and a plant that feels like you're drinking hot water with vague herbal flavoring. What makes chamomile genuinely supportive for sleep is a compound called apigenin, a flavonoid that binds to the same receptors in your brain that benzodiazepines bind to, but without the dependence, without the morning grogginess, and without the loss of natural sleep architecture. Studies have shown that people who consumed chamomile regularly showed measurable improvements in sleep quality and sleep latency, particularly when consumed 30 minutes to an hour before bed. But there's something deeper happening. Chamomile also contains compounds that support your gut microbiome's production of short-chain fatty acids, which have been shown to influence both stress resilience and sleep quality. Your gut and your brain are in constant communication about whether it's safe to rest. A healthy, well-supported microbiome tells your brain, yes, it's safe, and that permission, that biological permission, changes everything, how to use it. Brew fresh or high-quality dried chamomile flowers, not tea bags, which are often dust and fragments, in just boiled water for 5 to 10 minutes. Drink this 45-60 minutes before sleep, the ritual of brewing and sipping. The warmth, the aroma is part of the therapeutic action, not separate from it. Chamomile isn't dramatic, it's elegant, and elegance, it turns out, is how the body prefers to heal. The scent that crosses the blood-brain barrier. Night-blooming jasmine. Night-blooming jasmine is almost overwhelming in its potency. If you've ever walked past a night-blooming jasmine in the evening, you know. The scent is so strong it seems almost to have weight. This isn't accidental. This is a plant that has evolved to communicate across distance in darkness, and that communication is powerful enough to cross directly into your nervous system. Night-blooming jasmine has been used in traditional Indian and Southeast Asian medicine, specifically for its ability to calm an overactive mind and support restful sleep, but the mechanism isn't through consumption, it's through inhalation. The volatile compounds in night-blooming jasmine, the compounds that create that intoxicating scent, are small enough to cross the blood-brain barrier directly through the olfactory system. When you smell night-blooming jasmine, you're not just enjoying a pleasant aroma. You're inhaling aromatic compounds that research has shown may influence neurotransmitter activity directly. Studies on jasmine essential oil have indicated effects on GABA receptors similar to those seen with passion flower, but through a completely different pathway, the nasal epithelium rather than the digestive system. Your nose, it turns out, is a direct pipeline to your brain's emotional and sleep regulation centers. What's particularly interesting is that this pathway doesn't go through conscious processing. You don't have to think about the scent for it to work. Your nervous system responds automatically, primitively, and powerfully how to use it. If you live in a warm climate where night-blooming jasmine grows, planting it near a bedroom window means the scent naturally fills your sleeping space at the exact time you need nervous system support. If not, quality jasmine essential oil, specifically from night-blooming varieties, can be diffused in a bedroom 30 minutes before sleep. The key is that this works best through scent exposure, not through ingestion. Ancient gardeners didn't understand neurotransmitters or blood-brain barriers, but they understood that certain plants, when blooming at night, had an almost magical calming effect. They were observing biochemistry without the vocabulary for it. If you've noticed a pattern here, that these plants are timed to your body's evening rhythm, you're catching on to something most people miss entirely. Stick with this, because the next plants get even more specific about how they interface with your sleep biology. The root that quiets the sympathetic nervous system, valerian. Valerian has been used in European and Asian medicine for over 2,000 years, but its reputation today is mixed. Some people swear by it, others say it doesn't work. The difference, almost always, comes down to when and how it's used, and whether you're using real valerian or a processed extract that's lost its power. Valerian is traditionally harvested in the evening when the plant's root, the medicinal part, is at peak concentration of its active compounds. The root contains over 150 different chemical constituents, but the ones that matter for sleep include valerianic acid and a group of compounds called iridoids. These compounds don't work like pharmaceuticals. They don't bind aggressively to receptors. Instead, they seem to gently modulate the nervous system's baseline level of activation. Here's where it gets interesting. Valerian doesn't make you drowsy the way a sedative does. Instead, it quiets the background noise of your nervous system. If you've ever felt like your mind is constantly on, like there's static underneath everything, valerian addresses that. It's been shown in research to reduce the activity of the sympathetic nervous system, the part that keeps you alert and ready for threat, and to enhance parasympathetic activity, which is the rest and digest system. The reason this matters for sleep is that most modern sleep problems aren't caused by exhaustion. They're caused by inability to switch off. Your nervous system stays in a state of mild alert even when you're lying in bed. Valerian helps reset that switch. How to use it. Valerian works best as a decoction or tincture of the fresh or recently dried root, taken 1-2 hours before bed. It has a notoriously unpleasant taste and smell. Some describe it as earthy or even slightly fetid, but this is actually a sign of potency. The volatile compounds that give it this aroma are part of its therapeutic action. If you're using valerian extract that smells pleasant, it's been heavily processed and has likely lost much of its effectiveness. Valerian is not elegant, it's honest, and honesty, in medicine, is often more powerful than smoothness, the vine that signals deep rest. Hops. Hops is famous for beer. Almost nobody thinks of it as a sleep herb. But in European herbalism, hops has been used for centuries specifically to support sleep and calm nervous tension. The plant contains compounds called alpha acids and beta acids, along with a unique compound called 2-methyl-3-butanol or dimethylvinyl, which has been shown to have sedative properties. What makes hops particularly interesting for sleep is that it seems to work through multiple pathways. It has mild GABA mimetic effects like valerian and passion flower, but it also contains compounds that may enhance melatonin production, your body's primary sleep timing hormone. Additionally, hops has been traditionally used for its estrogenic activity, which is why it was historically used specifically for sleep problems in women, particularly during hormonal transitions. Research on hops has shown that it may reduce sleep latency, the time it takes to all fall asleep, and may improve sleep quality by supporting the body's natural melatonin rhythms. Some studies have even shown that hops pillows or sachets, when placed near the head during sleep, can influence sleep quality through volatile compound inhalation, similar to the mechanism with night-blooming jasmine. The deeper story here is that hops represents a plant specifically evolved to support rest states. Beer yeast fermentation changes and masks many of hops' therapeutic compounds, but whole hops, brewed as a tea or used in a sachet, carries its full therapeutic potential. How to use it. The most traditional and effective method is a hops pillow, dried hops flowers placed in a small muslin sachet and positioned near your head. The scent, combined with passive inhalation of volatile compounds, creates a subtle but measurable shift in nervous system state. Alternatively, hops can be brewed as a tea, though its bitter taste makes this less popular. Hops reminds us that plants don't have single purposes. They have evolved complexity. Our job is to discover it. The garden herb that regulates stress hormones. Lemon balm. Lemon balm is one of the most underestimated plants in modern herbalism. It tastes pleasant, it smells wonderful, and it's easy to grow. This combination makes people assume it's mild. They're wrong. Lemon balm has been used in European tradition since at least the Middle Ages, often specifically for what was called melancholy and pensiveness, what we would now call depression and anxiety. But the traditional use was particularly focused on evening and nighttime restlessness, the kind of agitation that shows up as insomnia driven by worry rather than physical discomfort. The plant contains rosmarinic acid, a powerful polyphenol that has been shown to influence cortisol, your primary stress hormone. When cortisol remains elevated in the evening, your body stays in a state of readiness. Sleep becomes neurologically impossible. Lemon balm appears to help cortisol follow its natural daily rhythm, allowing it to drop in the evening rather than remaining elevated. Additionally, lemon balm contains compounds that support GABA production in the brain, not directly, like pharmaceuticals, but by supporting the enzymes and cofactors your body uses to produce GABA naturally. This is a fundamentally different approach than sedation. It's about restoring your body's ability to calm itself. The traditional preparation was a simple infusion, leaves steeped in hot water, taken in the evening. The ritual was important, sitting with warmth, with aroma, with something gentle, at a time when your nervous system was beginning its transition to rest. How to use it. Fresh lemon balm is superior to dried. Steep a generous handful of fresh leaves, or 1 to 2 teaspoons dried, in just boiled water for 5 to 10 minutes, and drink 30 to 60 minutes before sleep. The taste is pleasant, which makes it sustainable as a daily practice. Unlike some sleep herbs, lemon balm doesn't create dependency or tolerance, so it can be used consistently without concern about diminishing returns. Lemon balm teaches us that the most powerful medicines often taste like something you'd actually want to drink. The root that supports the sleep-wake oscillation. Licorice root. Here's where it gets more sophisticated. Licorice root is not traditionally thought of as a sleep herb. It's more commonly associated with energy and digestion support. But understanding how it supports sleep requires understanding something most people miss. Sleep isn't just about being tired. Sleep is about hormonal rhythm. Your body produces different hormones at different times of day. Cortisol should be highest in the morning to support alertness and energy, and it should drop throughout the day, reaching its lowest point around midnight to allow deep sleep. But modern life, stress, artificial light, irregular meals disrupts this natural rhythm. Cortisol often stays elevated in the evening when it should be dropping. Licorice root contains compounds called glycyrrhizin and flavonoids that support healthy cortisol regulation. More specifically, licorice seems to help preserve cortisol where it's needed, morning alertness, while allowing it to drop appropriately in the evening. This is delicate work. Licorice doesn't suppress cortisol, it helps your body regulate it intelligently. Traditional medicine in Asia and the Mediterranean used licorice root extensively, often in combination with other herbs, specifically to support what we'd now call hormonal resilience. The plant was never just for one thing. It was foundational supporter of whatever your body was trying to do, how to use it. Licorice root is most effective as a decoction, simmered in water for 10 to 15 minutes, and is often combined with other herbs. A typical dose is 1 to 2 cups daily, with one taken in the evening. However, licorice should not be used continuously long-term without guidance, and it's contraindicated for people with high blood pressure or certain hormonal conditions. This is a plant that demands respect and knowledge. Licorice reminds us that the most powerful healers don't just suppress symptoms, they help your body remember how to regulate itself. The flower that works through gentle neurological reset. Skullcap. Skullcap is one of the most overlooked plants in modern herbalism, probably because it doesn't have a dramatic taste or aroma, and it doesn't produce obvious effects. But its absence from most sleep conversations is a profound oversight. Skullcap has been used in Native American medicine, and later in American herbalism specifically for what was called nervous exhaustion, a state where the nervous system is so depleted and overstimulated that normal rest doesn't actually restore. This is different from simple insomnia. It's a deeper dysregulation, where your nervous system has lost its ability to truly shift gears. The plant contains flavins that have been shown to interact with benzodiazepine receptors, but in an interesting way. Rather than aggressive stimulation or suppression, Skullcap seems to help reset the nervous system's baseline sensitivity. If your nervous system has been stuck in a state of high alert for months or years, Skullcap helps it remember what a calmer baseline feels like. What makes Skullcap particularly valuable is that it seems to work best for people who don't respond well to other sleep herbs. If you've tried valerian, passionflower, and chamomile without much effect, it's often because your nervous system has adapted or desensitized to these common herbs. Skullcap's mechanism is different enough that it can sometimes work when others don't. How to use it. Skullcap is traditionally used as an infusion or tincture of the fresh flowering tops, taken 1-2 hours before bed. The herb is subtle. You won't feel dramatically sedated, but over days and weeks of consistent use, people report that sleep gradually becomes easier and more restorative. Skullcap teaches us that the most important healing happens quietly, beneath conscious notice, in the restoration of natural balance, the seed that bridges digestion and sleep, fennel. This is where the deeper story of nocturnal plants becomes visible. Sleep is not isolated from digestion. Your digestive system doesn't stop working at night. It shifts into a different mode, and if your digestion is dysregulated, your sleep will be dysregulated too. Fennel has been used in traditional medicine across cultures: Indian, Mediterranean, Chinese, specifically for digestive support, and for sleep support, often in the same preparation. This seems contradictory until you understand the connection. Fennel contains volatile oils that ease digestive tension and calm intestinal spasming. When your gut is comfortable, your nervous system can relax. When your gut is in discomfort, your nervous system stays on alert. Additionally, fennel contains compounds that may support the production of melatonin and serotonin, two critical neurotransmitters for sleep and mood. Some research suggests that fennel's effect on the gut microbiome, specifically its ability to support beneficial bacterial populations, indirectly supports the production of these neurotransmitters, since a significant portion of serotonin is actually produced in the gut. The traditional preparation was often fennel tea consumed after dinner about 2 to 3 hours before sleep. This timing is important. It allows the fennel to complete its digestive work while the body is still awake, creating a foundation of digestive comfort that persists into sleep. How to use it. Fennel seeds can be steeped as a tea, about 1 teaspoon of lightly crushed seeds per cup of water, steeped for 5-10 minutes. The flavor is mild and slightly sweet, making it pleasant to drink. Fennel can be used consistently without concern about dependency. Fennel reminds us that ancient healers didn't separate digestion from sleep, or body from mind. They understood these as parts of one integrated system, the leaf that prepares the mind for dream sleep, mugwort. Now we're getting into the more subtle and sophisticated territory. Mugwort is famous in certain circles for enhancing dream, vividness, and dream. Recall, most modern people dismiss this as folklore, but what's actually happening is something much more interesting. Mugwort affects REM sleep specifically. Mugwort has been used in traditional medicines and across cultures, Asian, European, and indigenous traditions, for what was called balancing the dream realm or opening the dreaming. Modern sleep science would say, mugwort appears to support the proper cycling between REM sleep, where dreaming occurs, and deep sleep. Dreams aren't luxuries. They're essential for emotional processing, memory consolidation, and psychological resilience. The plant contains volatile compounds including thujone and other terpenes that have been shown to influence brain activity in ways that favor REM sleep if you've been experiencing sleep without dreams, or a sensation of non-restorative sleep even after adequate hours. This often indicates REM. Sleep disruption. Mugwort helps normalize REM cycling. Additionally, mugwort has traditionally been used for its gentle hormonal effects, particularly in supporting women's health and reproductive balance. This is relevant because hormonal balance directly influences sleep quality, particularly in women navigating different life stages. How to use it. Mugwort is traditionally used as an infusion of dried leaves, taken 1 to 2 hours before sleep. Some practitioners recommend a small amount, 1/2 to 1 teaspoon, rather than a full cup, as the flavor is quite strong and bitter. Alternatively, mugwort can be placed in a sachet near the pillow, where inhalation of its volatile compounds may influence dreaming. Fair warning, mugwort often does increase dream vividness and recall. For some people, this is deeply valuable. For others, particularly those dealing with trauma or anxiety, vivid dreaming can be uncomfortable. This is a plant that requires matching to the right persons in the right time. The plant that harmonizes melatonin production, evening primrose. Wait, we covered evening primrose. But there's something we didn't mention, and this is where the script accelerates toward a deeper revelation. Evening primrose doesn't just support sleep through nervous system effects. It also seems to influence the production and regulation of melatonin itself. Remember earlier we mentioned that traditional gardeners harvested evening primrose at dusk? There's a reason for that timing that goes beyond superstition. Plants produce different compounds at different times based on their circadian rhythm. When you harvest evening primrose at sunset, the moment it's blooming, you're accessing a plant at peak concentration of compounds that seem to signal to your body, this is evening. Prepare for sleep. Your body, seeing these compounds in the right plant at the right time, with circadian alignment, responds by beginning its shift toward melatonin production and parasympathetic dominance. This is the real magic, and it's not magic at all, it's synchronization. Ancient gardeners understood that timing of use matters. Modern medicine often ignores timing entirely, treating a plant the same whether consumed at noon or midnight. But your body's receptivity to these compounds changes throughout the day. A tea that's mildly calming at noon becomes profoundly sleep-supporting at the right circadian moment, the compound garden. Understanding plant synergy, here's where things change completely. Most people think of sleep support as additive. One herb does this, another does that, so combining them makes them better. But that's not how traditional gardens worked. Traditional gardens were ecosystems. Plants grew together, bloomed together, and were often used together because their compounds synergized in ways single plants couldn't achieve. A passion flower tea alone provides nervous system support. Add lemon balm to it. And the compounds from both plants interact with your nervous system in ways neither could achieve independently. Add hops, and you've now activated multiple pathways, GABA support, melatonin production, stress hormone regulation, simultaneously. The reason herbal traditions survived for thousands of years, while individual pharmaceutical interventions keep failing, is because plants work through redundancy. If one compound doesn't work for you, another will. Your body can work with them in multiple ways. A pharmaceutical is one specific molecule hitting one specific target. A plant is hundreds of compounds hitting dozens of targets. This creates resilience. Traditional sleep support wasn't a single plant. It was a relationship with a garden, a nocturnal garden that produced exactly what your body needed at exactly the time it needed it. The gesture beneath the plants, circadian alignment. This is the deepest layer. Every single plant we've discussed blooms or is traditionally harvested in the evening. This is not coincidence. This is the core principle. Your body has a 24-hour rhythm, and that rhythm includes specific windows where your nervous system is receptive to specific signals. When you consume these herbs in the evening, you're not just ingesting compounds, you're reinforcing your body's circadian rhythm. You're telling your nervous system, with every sip of tea, with every scent of jasmine, this is the time when we rest. This is when we transition. This is the permission to shift gears. Most modern sleep problems are fundamentally about broken circadian rhythm. We expose ourselves to blue light at night. We eat at inconsistent times. We work late. We disrupt the natural evening transition that our bodies expect, and then we wonder why we can't sleep. These plants work as powerfully as they do, not because they're magic, but because they're timed. They're asking your body to do what it's built to do, at the time it's designed to do it, with botanical support that evolution has fine-tuned over millennia, the nocturnal garden as medicine. The final revelation is this: the real medicine isn't the plants themselves, it's the practice of tending to a nocturnal garden. When you grow these plants, when you watch them bloom as sunset approaches, when you harvest them at the moment of opening, when you prepare them into teas and tinctures, you're not just making medicine, you're rebuilding a relationship with time itself. Your body's not broken, your circadian rhythm is not fundamentally damaged. What's happened is that you've been separated from the signals that normally coordinate it: the light, the temperature, the presence of plants that bloom when you should rest. A nocturnal garden restores those signals. Imagine this: you step outside in the evening. Night-blooming jasmine releases its intoxicating scent. Moonflower opens its pale petals. Evening primrose glows in the twilight. Valerian and skullcap wait in the shadows. Your body, sensing these plants, sensing these signals, begins its shift. Cortisol starts dropping. Melatonin begins rising. Your parasympathetic nervous system awakens, or rather, awakens to its proper role, which is rest, and then you sleep. Not because you forced yourself, not because you swallowed a pill and suppressed your natural rhythms, but because you aligned yourself with a rhythm that's older than human civilization, that your body has been designed over millions of years to follow. This is not primitive knowledge. This is advanced knowledge disguised as simplicity, the deeper truth about what we've forgotten. Every single plant we've discussed tonight has one thing in common: it only works fully when you understand its timing. A valerian root is powerful, but it's only medicine when harvested at dusk, when prepared with intention, when consumed in the hours before sleep, when your body is ready to receive it. This is what ancient gardeners knew that modern medicine forgot. Healing isn't about the substance. It's about the relationship between your body's rhythm and the plant's rhythm, between the evening and the compound, between intention and biology. The science confirms what observation discovered millennia ago, but science can't tell you what it feels like to tend a nocturnal garden, to watch it wake up as the sun sets, to know that these plants exist specifically to support your body's most fundamental need: deep, restorative rest. Modern medicine often tells us that sleep is something to be achieved through effort, through discipline, through the right supplement, through the right technique. But your body doesn't want achievement. It wants permission. It wants signals. It wants to know that someone, or something, understands that night is supposed to be different from day. These 15 plants are that permission. Whether you build an actual garden or simply begin working with these plants as herbs and teas, you're doing something radical. You're choosing to synchronize yourself with natural time again. You're saying, I trust my body's rhythm. I trust these plants that have supported human sleep for thousands of years. I'm going to rebuild the relationship my ancestors had with the evening. The question isn't whether these plants work, they do. The question is whether you're ready to stop fighting your body's need for rest and start supporting it instead. Which of these plants are already growing in your region or climate? Drop a comment below and let's build a conversation about which nocturnal plants are practical for your situation. And if you're seriously interested in rebuilding this relationship with sleep and the evening, if you're done with quick fixes and artificial interventions, subscribe for the next video, where we're breaking down the actual design of a nocturnal healing garden, the spacing, the timing, and how to create this ecosystem in any climate. The best time to plant a healing garden was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now.